Hello, in this video we're going to be comparing mitosis and meiosis. So let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. Now when we're comparing mitosis and meiosis, we certainly want to emphasize the differences. Okay, we certainly want to talk about the similarities and give you and review the general features of both. So when we're looking at mitosis versus meiosis, when we're thinking about meiosis, the four features that really distinguish it from mitosis, and you can see them listed there. The idea of crossing over. That's a huge part of meiosis 1 and certainly separates it greatly from mitosis, which has nothing like that at all. The sister chromatids remaining joined at their centromeres throughout meiosis 1. Obviously, during mitosis, they're separated during anaphase. So that's a huge difference as well. The kinetochores of sister chromatids attaching them, that's those things along the sides that are somewhat part of that synaptomental complex. DNA replication in between meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 doesn't happen, no S phase. And of course that reduction division in meiosis 1, that first part, the first of the two divisions, separating out those haploid chromosomes. Okay, and we again another example. We've seen this kind of this diagram. The text below it's a little bit different, but it's the idea of this is meiosis 1, mitosis, meiosis 1 at the top, mitosis at the bottom. So the idea of mitosis, which is along the bottom, we'll start there. It's the idea of you're going through your stages, okay, but when you end, okay, you've got diploid cells. Okay, remember we're talking about body cells. We're talking about skin tissue, hair, bone, muscle, whatever it may be. We're talking things of the body. So we're going to end with a diploid cell. Mitosis cells, certainly in reference to a number standpoint, produce identical cells to the parent cells. I mean, skin tissue needs to make skin tissue. Okay, it doesn't need to have any big changes, anything going on. So it's going to be as identical as possible. And remember, everything mitosis wise is somatic cells, the body cells, which are everything except those two types of cells, the egg and the sperm cell. Alright, so again, reviewing meiosis 1, and again, and I've said it many times, but I can't say it enough, remind you enough, that you can see the three red bolded words there: homologous chromosome, homologous pairs, homologous chromosomes. Those are a reference to the same thing. If you see that wordage, okay, again, we're talking about meiosis 1. Okay, but remember, meiosis 1 and prophase, that's where that crossing over process occurs. And then when you get to metaphase, now we're going to start up. We're going to engage independent assortment, and of course we're going to go down to two haploid cells. Okay, then those haploid cells, those two, again, are going to go through the stages again. Meiosis 2. But remember, sister chromatid, individual chromosomes, all reference to the same thing. If we're seeing verbiage about sister chromatids, we know we're talking about meiosis 2, and gets us down to 4 haploid cells that are now ready to be gametes and sex cells or sex cells. Alright, so just a couple more reminders about things that differentiate mitosis and meiosis. They're both obviously nuclear division. In other words, they're dividing chromosomes. They're involved with the nucleus. But remember that mitosis produces diploid somatic cells. Meiosis produces haploid gametic cells. And the difference between the haploid and diploid is that haploid is half, of diploid, and remember that meiosis introduces genetic variation processes, crossing over, independent assortment, that type of stuff. One thing that you want to think about is that, and we talk about this in our introduction to meiosis, but it's the idea of the haploid cells producing a zygote, which is diploid, and then those cells will continue to produce more through the idea of mitosis, because their haploid is now a diploid body cell. Now, if you want to think about something else to think about, is that think about a plant or a tree, even a mushroom or a fungi. When they produce their gametes, whether it's sperm or pollen or spores or whatever it may be, if you think about this, they all have the opportunity to develop into a new offspring. I mean, like, for example, our neighbor's got a gumball which hangs over the edge of our property, and thousands, actually I don't know about thousands, but certainly hundreds to thousands gumballs fall to the ground every year. Okay, so that tree doesn't just produce one offspring at a time, and then we produce one more later on. All that pollen that floats through the air, if it matches up or if it meets it's the right spot, it's got a chance to make an offspring or to make a new zygote. Okay, so in plants and fungi and things like that, almost all of the gametes have a chance to produce offspring. But think about humans. Does all the sperm, do all the eggs get a chance to produce an offspring? No. I mean, if you just think about a sperm production, I mean, millions and millions of sperm cells, but only one gets a chance to fertilize the egg if the chance is even given. If you think about a younger person as they develop, I mean, there's several years to where it's where the chance of fertilization and to get to be a young adult or whatever, and then just the process of other ways to prevent the fertilization, but ours do not get that opportunity. So that's one way in which we are different. Mitosis and meiosis, they're different in many ways, as it says there, but they do have some similarities. The idea of meiosis, or the process of meiosis 2 and mitosis in regard to a final product, they are most familiar, most similar. Well, that's our video comparing mitosis and meiosis, the differences, similarities, and that kind of stuff. The next time we come together, we're going to be talking about these life cycles that we've been referring to, the diploid dominant, haploid dominant. So we'll see you then.